Welcome everybody, Steve here. Today I'm going to show you how to go from rough lumber to good lumber without using a jointer. Now, we don't have to have it perfectly flat going this way, but we want our board straight this way. Now if you saw my I had a previous video where I did a door. It's kind of the same concept. Now these I got off an old crate, and it's good old pine. It's about 1 1/4 thick. It's going to be perfect for this project that I got coming up. I might give you a hint, I'm not sure yet. But of course it's been laying on the ground, so it's dirty. If I run it through my planer, it's going to dull my blades. So first thing I'm doing is hitting it with my belt sander, and already I can see a spot where there's a, I don't know, chunk of a nail or something. So we're going to clean these up a little bit with the belt sander, and then we're going to surface plane the face of them, and then on the edge I'm going to show you how I straighten it out so that we've got a nice board to glue together. Okay, we got one side nice and flat, the other side kind of semi-flat. We can get that later. We just need one good flat side. Now when I was saying we don't want perfectly flat, I meant this way. You know, with a jointer you can make your wood perfectly level or flat, however you want to call it, on this plane. But if you're gluing things up and you've got some biscuits in there, everything kind of looks after itself anyway. You can do your best to try and get wood straight, but in the end it does what it wants to do. That's pretty darn good. Not bad. Pretty nice looking wood for coming off of a crate. Alright, we can't do very much with this stuff right now because we want to glue it up, we would have these great big gaps. So the only way to get that perfect is to joint this edge, but we don't have a jointer here. So I'm going to show you a quick way of doing it. It's accurate and it's quick. Okay, let's clean up and I'll show you what I'm going to do. Okay, I'm on the bottom side of the piece of wood that I want to straighten out here. And I just got it so that I'm going to use my router, and I'm going to take off just like right here. There's about maybe a 1/16. Over here there's maybe about a good 1/8. So you need a straight edge. That's the key to this whole operation. If you haven't got a good straight edge, you're not going to get a good straight line. So this piece here happens to be 1.5 by 3/8 thick chunk of steel. Aluminum works good. If this was a little bit shorter, I could use my level. In a pinch, you can use the edge of a piece of plywood. Alright. Then we're going to flip this over. It can be a pain. Let's make sure I don't hit my truck. Now the surface that we just planed, that'll be our surface that we're going to run our router on, and we're going to use a flush trim bit with a router or with a bearing on it, and that bearing is going to ride along our guide and cut us a nice straight edge. You can see my little router set up here. I've got a straight cutting bit, bearing. This one here's got a 1.5 inch shaft on it, and it's got a 1.5 inch cut. So that allows me to do boards like this, or even a stock 2x6 would work. You know, I can still use this bit to straighten that out. So you gotta have the right appropriate bit for the job. This stuff here is the cool stuff in life. When you get to work with your hands and straighten out an old ugly piece of wood and make it into something, that is really, really neat. Okay. Now, of course, we're gonna have to move the clamp because we're not gonna be able to go all the way, but easy enough. Just got to set my router down just a hair more. Let's finish her up. You could do this with a hand plane, you know, but then you have to be like seriously talented and very, very patient. I've done it. It's a lot of work, but it can be done. That looks really, really good. Awesome. Okay, let's do this one in here, and we're going to see how they match up. Now that we've got this, the key to a board is to have one perfect edge. Now that we've got one good edge, now we can run this on the table saw, cut whatever dimension that we want. And if you wanted to just make sure that that table saw cut was perfect, do the same thing, cut it a little bit larger, put your straight edge on it and give it a quick little router. But today we're just doing two edges, and I'll do all that fun stuff when the project comes up. I'm being a little smarter this time. I'm putting the straight edge on this side, so all I have to do is just flip the board. As long as you get it right the last time. That's what counts. My table is squeaking, it's driving me crazy here. Looks pretty darn good. If I put them together, that's a pretty adequate glue joint right there. As soon as you clamp that together, there's no space there whatsoever. Now, just stop. If you're going to do this, you want to be gluing things up as quick as you can. If I leave this overnight, even if I leave it for 8 hours, you know, there's a chance that board could just do this and then you're going to have to redo it. But there's nothing wrong with that if you have to do a little fine tuning, just to take a 1/16 off again, just make sure that your boards are at the right width. Now that we have a real straight 90-degree edge here, we can take this to the table saw, get the width that we want, and go from there. So this is where you've got to get started. You got to plane this so it's flattish, joint that edge till it's perfect, and now you've got an edge to glue on, and you got an edge to cut on. But we're not going to do any more till the project comes up. So chances are that's going to be a bit of a wait. It's hard to say. Summertime, guy always gets busy. So I'll probably end up rerouting these anyway, but that's okay. It only takes a few minutes. You're ready to go. Another thing you can do, just going to bring this up. I don't mind if I have some holes in here. Now, I've got holes on the end of my wood, and if you're a furniture builder or anything like that, you've always got a little extra on the end, you know, because in case you've got some snipe on your planer or whatever, you can screw that down, and then you have one pass, and then it eliminates that one little error that could happen when you reclamp it. So I probably end up doing that, drilling a hole in there, screwing this down. That way I don't have any issues whatsoever, and might do that for the next time. I just saw a hole in my straight edge and it just kind of flicked on. This is good enough for what I want. If you're a real fine furniture builder, of course, you're going to have a jointer, you're going to have all that fun stuff. But for this project coming up, this is exactly what I'm looking for. And now that we have a straight edge, we can go to the table saw and cut this to the dimension that we want. We can glue it the way it is and joint another edge, put it through the table saw. Lots of little options, lots of options. But that's how you take a rough piece of lumber and give it a nice straight edge. Some guys have got jigs where they'll run that on their table saw to get a straight edge. But when you run on a table saw, you still got the little cut marks from your blade, and they kind of give you a little issue. And if you've got a thin curved blade, sometimes you get a little wobble. So there are some errors that could happen there, and I think there's less that can happen if you go with this approach. I really hope this helps. We're not going any further on this because that's for the project, but I wanted to show you how to address some rough lumber and get a nice straight edge, and I hope this helps you out. So until next time, thanks so much for watching. Stay tuned.